Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Wieland, the host of the WB Download, and I want to invite you and welcome you to our podcast. My brother and I own and operate Wieland Builders. It's a custom home building company here in Southwest Ohio. The WB Download mostly focuses on interviewing folks associated with custom building. We stray now and then to interview people who I think are interesting and to break up the monotony of the same old podcast. I also like to highlight things that are going on in my everyday life along with our businesses. I started this podcast to help people understand the custom builder world, but to also give people a chance to hear what others have to say and highlight their expertise and experiences in life. We drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with a new topic and or guest each time. I hope you join us here on the WB Download and enjoy listening and hearing stories of people in and out of the custom builder world. Welcome to the WB Download. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the WB Download. I'm Jeff Wieland here at Wieland Builders headquarters in Westchester, Ohio. Merry Christmas, everybody. It is 12/23/25. This is what we call Eve around here, which is a day that we go to church and celebrate Christmas 2 days before Christmas. And that way it allows us to go and spend time with our families on Christmas Eve. So it's a great idea. Having a candlelit Silent Night song being sang in our church is one of the most Christmassy things that I love doing every year. It brings it home for us. So I hope everybody's prepared, because if you're not, you're in trouble. I don't know how many people wait until Christmas Eve to go out and start buying stuff, but if you're that person, you need to be out there right now. So, hey, we've had, I always talk about the weather, but this is typical Ohio. And I think that everybody listening around the country should know that last weekend, while my kids and I were in Columbus at the AGR Holiday Classic Cattle Show, we got up there late Friday night, and Saturday it started snowing, and I think we got total of about 7 and something inches of snow from Columbus down to Cincinnati, and so it was 1 degree out when we got up on Sunday morning to get to the barn really early, and the kids had a snow day on Monday, and then by the time Wednesday rolled around, it was back up to 38, 40 something degrees. And then today, as I record this, it is probably 55 degrees and pouring down rain. And here we are. So that's living in Ohio. Everybody says, hey, if you don't like the weather, stay in Ohio, because it'll change in the next 10, 15 minutes, next hour, or whatever you got. So like I said, we went to the cattle show last weekend, and that was our first experience in a jackpot show. It was so good to get out, to get everybody out, to get them showing, to take those jitters away from Raina. Cody's got it under wraps, and he stays calm, cool, and collective. But Raina, man, she was so nervous, and because her steer's been giving her a fit, and she got in there and just killed it. And when she came out of the ring, I don't even think she knew that they were even placing anybody. She was just so excited to have it over and done with, and everything went really well. So the other thing we did last Friday as a company is we served lunch down at the Ronald McDonald House here in Cincinnati. I think I would suggest anybody does some research on this great place and what they do. And we learned so much about what they do and how they do it, but we were there to work, and, I was expecting to be there to work, but, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and man, we made the food. So, it was pretty cool, to experience, a very humbling experience, and, reminds you to be grateful for what you have. I can tell you that. And if we haven't had enough of that in the last couple of weeks, man, Christmas time is a time to remind everybody to be grateful for each other. So the other thing is, I want to tell you that if you haven't gotten your Christmas shopping done, you're in trouble. You better get your butt out there and do it. But I saw a thing on a car just the other day, and it said, "Live your dash." So I'm like, all right, well, I texted my wife and I said, this is going to be like the Rubik's Cube. I'm going to ponder this all day and try and figure it out. And she, of course, smarter than me, she Googles it, and it goes back to a poem, goes back to a book that a lady wrote. And it's the dash between on your headstone when you die. Because from the time you die, or from the time you're born until the time you die, there's a dash in the middle. And how do you live that life? And what does that mean to you? And it was just kind of was pretty cool to see. Oddly enough, I was over at Myers across the street here from our office because I like Myers and I go there 3 times a week, whether I need anything or not. And I saw the car again and I was like, man, this thing's speaking to me. So I Googled it also. And then I sent a message out to the company. I was like, this is what it's all about. Let's forget about the trouble stuff that we go through with some people. Leave it at that, and let's start living our lives, man. Let's turn over this first of the year and let's start enjoying it. So Christmas time always brings to me nostalgia, brings to me reasons to get together with friends and to soak it in with the kids and with Shannon and with the company and enjoy things so much. So I hope everybody feels the same way, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I hope you all feel the same way, that this is a time and a reason to get together, to be grateful, and to enjoy your life. So today's episode, I am going to recap, as promised, all of our guests for the year. This is our 3rd year. We are now rolling into our 4th year, the 73 episodes, and have not missed one in the last 3 years as we roll into our 4th year as the WB Download. So jumping back into January of 2025, we had my good friend Kathy Wieland on the show, and Kathy is such an interesting cat. She is not only married to one of my best friends since the time we were in kindergarten, but we built their house over in Hamilton. And beyond that, Kathy is also into politics, and she's ran for a couple different offices, and we've always supported her because, she's one of the people that came to me and said, hey, I guarantee you that, Democrat, Republican, no matter what, there's more things that people agree on than they don't. And what happens in the news, what happens in public is people have this tendency to highlight a few of the bad things or a few of the, not bad things, a few of the the things that people are opposite sides on, and they magnify it, and it makes it seem like everything's in a ruckus. And I guarantee you that she's right, that everybody agrees on more things than what they think they do. So, but she also jumped into talking about, how the build went, some ups and downs, and how it turned out. The other thing, when we were building that house, she was super helpful in coming back and saying, here's what you should do. Here's what you need. Here's how you should handle this, meaning communication, meaning storage of documents, meaning just making sure that we're heading things off earlier than later. So I was super grateful for that. But I also loved hearing her story. Her and Jimmy's story is a love story. And I'll call it that. But it's also one that, goes back to people who made it. And I think it's pretty cool. And what I mean by make it is, they were young and, when they got married, and we were young when they got married. And here they are, here we all are, this many years later. And then we also were able to remain friends. And actually, as we speak right now, we're getting ready to do another project for them. And I'm so excited about it because I think this is something that's so great. For one, we remain friends. For two, we continue to work for these families as we finish one project and we come back and do another one. So I want to say thank you to Kathy again. That was awesome. Thank you for taking your time to come over here. And then at the end of January, we had my good friends Crosby and Roby Sims from Sims Development up in Dayton, and they're builders. They're developers, and they are all around good dudes. One thing that you don't know about this episode is in the middle of it, we're recording, and I look down for some reason at my board here, and because we're that big time, we have a board in here, and it's not recording. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? I mean, how long ago did it stop recording? What are we going to do? And what happened was my little SIM card was filled up. All the memory was gone on it. And when I went to go find another one, I didn't have another one that was empty. And Roby literally goes out to his car. He's got a SIM card in his drone, takes it out, puts it into our board. We go back, try and figure out where we left off at, and we finish the recording on Roby's SIM card. So how embarrassing is that? But I really enjoyed. These guys are 3rd generation builders. They're brothers. They're younger, and they're kicking butt. but they're just good people, and I love the conversations, and I've had multiple conversations since then. I had dinner with Roby and a group of people later on in the year there, and Roby has gotten engaged and is going to be getting married in 2026. So I'm looking forward to that. Super exciting stuff. But check them guys out and just watch them and follow them, because they do a lot of inner city stuff in Dayton. They're native Dayton, and they build multifamily things, do some development, and I always get a kick out of how significant they are up there, but also how sophisticated they are. So I enjoyed having those guys on there, and I want to say thank you to them again as well. We rolled into February, and we had my friends Mark Wolflart and Sarah Murai from Ferguson. And anywhere you live in the United States, I think that you probably have a Ferguson in your town somewhere, because I cannot believe how big this company is. They are our plumbing supplier, plumbing fixture supplier. And of course, they want to do more than just supply our plumbing fixtures. But, we have relationships, and we try and buy as much stuff from them as we can. But, for a short stint in our life, before we moved to our farm that we live on now, we were next door neighbors with Mark. And so that's how I got to know Mark, and a small world. But then Sarah, we struggled a little bit with some salespeople over there. And then when Sarah came along, and Morgan is the in-house person over there that meets with the customers, they kind of corrected that ship, man, and they righted that ship, and now they're on top of it. She's calling me all the time with details, and it's business, and she works her butt off. They all work their butt off, and I don't know what Mark does, but I mean, everybody else works their butt off over there. Just kidding. But it was an awesome thing. The thing that amazed me the most, the thing I learned out of that whole deal, was how long these people stay at Ferguson. We're getting ready to build some people's house where the guy works at Ferguson in a completely different department. But he's been there forever. And so, I mean, that's really, inspiring, I guess I should say, to see how long people stay at a company like that. So again, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Sarah, for taking time to come over here and hang out with me and learn your story, and learn about what you guys do. So then the big one. This is my good friend, one of my best friends, Matt Smith from Siteworks. He came in here at the end of February, and I don't know. I just think so highly of Matt, and he's just such a great person. Him and his wife, Jasmine, we told the story, their love story, how they met. We told the story on how they started Siteworks. And if anybody's from Southwest Ohio, Siteworks, whether you have anything to do with construction or not, because you'll see their vehicles, their trucks, and their big rigs and everything driving up and down the road all the time, because they do so much work. But man, they started this thing with nothing, and we were in the middle of COVID, and the company that they were working for was shutting down, and they had to do something. So they started putting this thing together, started doing some different things, and to see this company the way it is right now. So Matt was also the first guest that I had that we drank beer on the show. So while we were doing the show, he had a couple Coors Lights, and had a couple Bud Lights, and we were relaxed and just telling good stories, telling times of how everybody got here. But I'm glad that everybody heard his story, because he wouldn't tell it. He's a very quiet guy, but just a salt of the earth person. And I'm just proud to call him a friend. So thank you again, Matt, for coming out. And I hope everybody goes back and listens to these episodes so you can learn about these people. Boring episode. I talked about our goals and objectives. And that was the first part of March as we rolled into that. And I'm going to do the same thing again next year. I did the same thing for the last several years. I think it's important for people to understand what it takes to run a business. And if you don't have a target, if you don't have goals and objectives, you're flying blind. And so we got to we make these goals and objectives with everybody else in the company. We all sit down and we review them. Everybody agrees. We adjust them in a big company meeting that takes a couple days for us to wrap our heads around this stuff. So that's really important. And I enjoy it. I enjoy that kind of stuff because it gives us a target to aim for. The next guest was Kelly Schnelly from Florida Tile. Now, Kelly is awesome. She kicks butt. And shortly after this, we're calling Kelly, and she's not answering. And we're like, oh my gosh, what happened to her? She was on the WB download and they fired her. What happened? So I don't know what happened there between her and Florida Tile, but I was able to reconnect with her. And thankfully, by the grace of God, she goes to work for our other flooring company, who's actually our installer and supplier, which is McSwain Carpets and Floors. And so Kelly is now our sales rep there because our other rep, Allison, has retired. So we are still working together with her, and I'm so happy for this. But it was cool to listen to Kelly's story, and then it's also cool again. Like you've heard on this show so many times from these people, and I'll get to a couple other ones here in a second, but these people have their heart and soul into what they do, and they have their heart and soul into our customers. So our customers aren't going to Kelly to buy tile. They're going to Kelly with a design, with a thought in mind, and Kelly has the same goal. We could do this. We could do this. She's looking at different layouts and talking about different designs and details, not selling you something, but working with you to design your home. So awesome lady. Thank you again, Kelly, for being here and doing that. So on the first part of April, we had my good friend Ryan Murphy, who is also our insurance agent. And I learned a long time ago that if your lawyer, your accountant, and your insurance agent need to be on the same page with me, these people need to have my best interest in mind. If they're not calling me and saying, hey, these are some things that we need to look out for, these are some things we need to adjust, these are some things we need to pay attention to, then I've got the wrong people in place. And Ryan and I became friends because we knew each other. We knew a lot of the same people. Ryan knows everybody. But we slowly became friends, or quickly became friends, but we continue to do business together, and he does have our best interest in mind. But it's so much fun to hang out with him because he's like the coolest cat in the world. He played football at the University of Illinois. And so that whole recruiting process, I know we should have been talking about insurance, which we did. But that recruiting process that he was going back and talking about with his VHS tapes and getting recognized and how that whole process went was just really, to me, I thought that was really interesting. But our insurance here, as a company owner, the insurance is so critical and so crazy because it's not just about going out and saying, oh, this is cheaper over here for this. You've got to make sure you're covered. And to the point where I needed him to tell me a long time ago, hey, you need to make sure that your policy and everybody's policy that works for us, we name them as additionally insured and we are named as additionally insured on their policies. A huge thing, because if something happens around here, you get these lawyers involved into it and you get all these other things going back and forth. You better make sure you have your paperwork in line, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. And Ryan's one of my guys. Just talked to him this morning too. We were talking about Christmas and he invited me to go to, we talk about LaSalle in his episode, and they have a sports stag every year, big fundraiser for the school. And they have these huge guests. And so we were talking about that and going to it here at the end of January. So off track. Hey, one of the most important guests of all time, not to downplay anybody else, but at the end of April, we had my mom, Sue Wieland, on here. And Mike and I, this is our first episode that Mike and I did together. And so we had my mom in here, and this lady is just one of the greatest people that's ever lived on earth. And for us to be able to sit down with her and talk through her life, talk through what it was like to be in the business, talk through what it was like to be our mom, and just hear her be so humble about everything is just, it's so cool. But I love having conversations with my mom. I feel like I always had a pretty honest relationship with her growing up, and that it's just a pleasure to have her on here. So I'm trying to get my wife to come on here, and she says no, but maybe one day she will. But my mom has been a role model, been a friend to Shannon, and of course me the same, and just same thing with my kids. So God love her. Thanks for coming on here, Mom. And hopefully we'll have you back again and we'll talk about some more stuff. And then we roll into May. In that first part of May, we had both Leah Eggert and Krista Heinrich on here from California Closets. And if in California Closets, and I say that, I think I said this in the episode, I'm trying to remember back then, but California Closets is like the Kleenex brand of tissues. Everybody refers to those closet systems as California Closets, and they are not all the same. Trust me. So Leah made a good point during the show to say, hey, Jeff, what's your problem? You need to send me the plans when you're bidding everything out. Send me the plans at the same time you're sending everybody else. And that way I can look at them and I can say, hey, maybe if you move this wall 6 inches or you bump this out or you do something different, it'll make this system work so much better. And I'm sitting here thinking, hey, we're sending her the plans mid-build and saying, here, go pick out your closets. And I downplayed it like a jerk. And so she was super awesome to say, hey, look, this is something we need to change. And I learned that by having her here on the show. So we learned about her history, but we learned about how long she's been there. We learned about how she got there, when she was at the Home and Garden show. And that was pretty cool. I remember that part about it. But we're grateful for their partnership. They do a great job, and they are some of the best. And it's just like everything else. She's not there to sell you closets. She's there to design your closets and understand how you're going to use them, and has this whole different edge about her, thinking about the storage concepts and how things are going to work in there. So that was a really cool episode to learn about these people, because some of these people I don't know that well. So I'm getting to I just work with them, and so I'm getting to learn more and more about them. And I thought that was pretty brilliant for her to be like calling me out. So that's something we do. That's something we made a change. That's the way it goes in my life. Oh, my good friend, Adam Helke. At the end of May, we had Adam from Davenport, Iowa, Quad Cities, Iowa, out here on the show. And Adam, I wish, and I tell people this all the time, I wish we would record and put it on the podcast the first 15 minutes when we're not actually on the show, and maybe like the last 15 minutes when we're not on the show. When Matt Smith and I wrapped that whole thing up, we sat here for another 2 hours and talked. And I thought, man, if people could hear this, it was so much more fun. It's the same as a show. It's just a little bit more, a little more free language is what we use. But Adam and I jump on the phone just before the call, and we're going back and forth and laughing and cutting up and laughing and cutting up. And then we jumped into the interview. One of the funniest things about it is he's all fixed up, got his hair done, he's all dressed up, but he says, man, I thought this was a video call, and it was just I just had him on the speakerphone here. So that was really cool. But Adam has since separated from his partner. He was been a builder for a while. I met him through our Builder 20 group, and he's since separated from his partner that he had in business, and he went out on his own. And so now he's living a different life. And we learned about what this is like. What's it like starting over? What kind of things did you need to change? What kind of adjustments did you make? And what kind of houses are you building? And I hope that, and he's another one that also said, hey, I hope that you can use this, or he can use this for his marketing. Hey, look, I was on a WB download. And so he can take that and people can hear what his thoughts are and how he feels about things. So I'm grateful, Adam and Dan Geis, because it wouldn't be an episode if I didn't mention Dan Geis, and my good friend Don Weiler, who was on here. And we'll talk about Don here in a minute. We have a text message with all four of us on there. All four of us on there. And especially during football season, every Thursday night, every Saturday, every Sunday, we're just going back and forth talking about football. And so it's kind of nice to stay connected with them. Coming into the beginning of June here, we had my awesome cousin, Johnny Lohr, on here from Gordian Design and Construction. Johnny's he's a commercial builder, and he's one of the smartest cats I know. And so to see him thrive in everything he does is just so cool. But I was so excited to have him on here and hear his story, hear his memories and reflecting back on his mom and dad, our childhood growing up, and all of those kind of things was really neat. And once again, this is an episode where my brother and I did this together, which was really cool to have him in here doing these interviews with us. And it's another episode where we were drinking beer, and so we were drinking beer, hanging out, talking, and telling stories. And again, we sat here for a couple hours after that, and we talked and just kind of reminisced. But I think that, man, some of these buildings he built like a neighborhood over in Westchester of these great big, what we call tilt ups, 1,000,000 square foot buildings. And what he does is just unbelievable. So he's super organized and really on tack. We kind of think about this, man. I haven't been to lunch with the old boy here in a while. We usually go to lunch once a quarter and catch up and just talk. So I'm proud to call him my cousin. Proud to always be a friend of mine, and I was proud to have him on here. So the next episode, end of June, we had Caroline on design, and Miss Carrie Baker, and I didn't know much about her. Leanne had done some follow up with her, but Carrie is a lady who helps assist people in their building projects. And so she, from start to finish, from the middle of it, whatever, she's a consultant and bounces back and forth with people, helping them with systems and different things, because she had an experience building her house that wasn't great and she wanted to improve it. And by gosh, that's what she did. And I'm always like, man, we got to do a deal with her. We got to do a deal with her. So that was fun to be able to have Carrie on here. So thanks again for you guys being on the show. At the end, or in the beginning of July, I did recognizing and working with tough clients. Now I was supposed to follow this up with the good clients, and how to recognize them. Unfortunately, this year, for the first time, there's always some tough characters out there, but this year we've had our handful of tough ones, and I'm really, really upset about it, because it's just difficult to navigate through. But we went through and we were talking about some different things here. Talked about it a bunch with my friends. I made some phone calls to people who own different dealerships that aren't in the building business, and talked about what's your number one problem with customer. When you have a problem customer, what is that problem? And for us, the first thing I do if I have a problem customer is what did we do? Did we not set expectations? Did we not answer questions? What did we do that was wrong? And then and can we get to the bottom of this? And sometimes you can't. So that was an episode. Shamefully, though, I had multiple of our customers call me up and go, I hope it's not me. I hope it's not me. And I said, man, just the fact that you have to ask the question, we know it's not you. You know it's not you. So it was kind of funny to get people's reaction out of it, but true, nonetheless, true. And at the end of July, we had this awesome people on here. Man, we had Peyton and Jess over from Peyton's Lemonade stand on here. Now, I got these people's name from Ryan Murphy, and he starts telling me about this girl, young kid, 8 years old, starting a lemonade stand, raising money, and it's just gone gangbusters. So I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about this. So we do a little research, and I'm like, man, this is exciting stuff. We need to find out more about these guys. So they come in here, and they're the most normal people ever. But I mean, I'm telling you, Peyton's got this heart of gold. She's going places. I tried to do like NASCAR does. I tried to sign a contract with her now for her to come work for us when she gets old enough, but she wasn't having it because she's probably going to go work at NASA or something. But her and her mom and when it's her whole family, people across the country are doing Peyton's Lemonade stand. She started this deal because she was in the hospital, and there's some people at Children's Hospital came around, gave some gifts out. And when she was on her way home, she says, hey, I want to raise some money. And she sees these kids with a lemonade stand down the street that were raising some money for some different reasons. And she said, I want to do that. And I want to take that money and I want to go buy gifts and take them back down to the hospital and return the favor. So they do it the first year and a couple $100, whatever it was, $450, I can't remember what the number was. Come back in, do it the second year. It's probably $1,500, $2,000, and then all of a sudden it just takes off. And I think this year they've raised $100 and something thousand on that one single day. And they don't sell the lemonade; they give the lemonade away and ask for a donation, and that's how this whole thing works. So it was just so intriguing to hear their sincerity into what they say and what they do, and to know that these are really good people. So there's more to come with Peyton's Lemonade Stand and Wieland Builders coming in 2026, because I've had conversations with them, and we'll break this out here after the first of the year because we have to get some deadlines put in place, but we're going to work with them this year. And I've already talked to Jess about it, and I'm pretty excited about how this is going to turn out. So thank you guys again. That was enlightening to have them. They're all enlightening, but I mean, that was enlightening enlightening to have somebody out of the industry come in and we learned more about what they do. So it was pretty fun. The next episode was the first part of August there, and we had none other than one of the GOATs, Pam Carr. She is a cabinet designer. She works with a company called KBR, but I've known Pam for a long, long time. When I was a kid, my dad bought lumber at a company called Western Home Center. It was family owned and operated, and so I think that's probably where I first met her at when she worked there. And then we just kind of saw each other through the Home Builders Association through the years, and now we finally had an opportunity to do business with her. I'll tell you this about cabinetry, and we say this during that interview, and I say it all the time: cabinets. Quality is important. The manufacturer standing behind stuff is important, but that designer, what Pam does, is so much more important, because that's what'll screw a kitchen up if somebody doesn't know what they're doing. Understanding, the custom side of it, understanding finishes, understanding sizes, understanding refrigerator door swings and how a kitchen operates. Once again, this is a lady who, when our customers go to meet with her, she's already had the plans, she's already done designs, but she's not there to sell them cabinets. She's there to work with them to design their kitchen, to design their bathrooms, to design all these things. And she does a fantastic job, works her butt off, up early. She's a hustler and working with our customers all the time. So I can't say thank you enough, Pam, for all you do. And thanks for working hard and doing a good job. Thanks for being on the show. Our next person is at the end of August there was Simplify by Design with Danielle Berger. And Danielle is a lady that she worked with some of our customers. And this is the second or third time that I knew something like this was happening after the people moved in. She comes in and organizes people's houses. And I'm like, what? So she and I saw this on a house that we finished down in Indian Hill. And I walk in the garage one day, and these people are all standing around laying things out on the garage walls. They're putting the silverware away in the cabinets. I mean, they're putting things in the pantry, and I'm like, I can't believe somebody gets paid to do this. And then after our meeting, and after meeting Danielle and talking to her, it's a knack. I mean, it's so cool what she's done and the things that she leads up to, and in the I guess the boxes and all the stuff that she does is really, really important. And it's definitely has value to it. And I would suggest some people, it's called Simplify by Design. And I think everybody should check her out and, do a consultation with her and have her straighten out and organize your place, because it's pretty neat. And it's satisfying, by the way. And so then we, at the end of, or at the beginning of September, I guess, we talked about Homerama, because I think we had just wrapped up and we had talked about all the stuff, all the awards, all the things that were going on there at the show. And so that was really important, because we just wrapped up the show there with Pickwick Place with the Dizards. And so it was fun, did we? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. That was the year before. I don't know why I'm talking about that. We just talked about Homerama because I think we probably had somebody bail on us and couldn't get the interview done. So I'm like, all right, let's talk about this. Leanne's like, let's talk about this. So we talked about Homerama. We talked about luxury designs and favorite rooms and all kinds of things. So that's what we were talking about. Sorry about that. And then our next guest was one crazy cat, Andy Cord. And Andy, I've known Andy for a long time. His dad was the FFA teacher that took over for Mr. Imes, who was my FFA teacher. So he was there for a really long time, held an important spot in my mind and my heart down there in Ross. But Andy is a guy, he's a jack of all trades. He's an auctioneer. He could build just about anything you want. He's a farmer, just an all around good dude. And he reminds me of where I came from, because when I sit down and talk to him, we probably sound the same. We're probably a little bit crazy, but just a salt of the earth good dude. And so Cody and I went out he owns a company called Stockyards Packaging Company up there, packing company up in Oxford, College Corner area. And Cody and I went out there for a deal where they were cutting meat. We entered 2 of our carcasses into a competition, and then they had Dr. Garcia come down from Ohio State University, and they took us through the whole process and got to see some really cool things. And it was a pleasure to have Andy on the show to learn about those things. Once again, somebody who's not necessarily into the building industry, but to learn about what they do and learn about them was really, really cool. for me, and I hope it was cool for you too, to listen to what he has to say. So here's a heart wrenching one. In the beginning of October, we had my good friend Brian Lapthorne on here. And Brian was, his brother Billy had committed suicide about a year and a half before we did this episode. Brian and I built his house. I built him and Jen's house. I met them in 2020 on Zoom during COVID, and we finally finished their house in, I guess it was 2024. We didn't start it probably until 2024, but we finished their house in 2024. That's how long the design process, and we got to know each other. And Brian and I started going to breakfast and lunch together and having really, really good conversations. And we were both genuinely interested in each other. And I got to be really, really good friends with him. So to back up a little bit, his brother committed suicide about a year and a half before we had done the episode, and Brian was struggling with how to deal with it. But one of the ways he was dealing with it was he was going around and advocating for mental health. And he was on Bill Cunningham's show. He was doing a fundraiser, and just, he's going around. He's pissed off. He's like, we gotta figure this out. We gotta straighten this out for people who are struggling with this kind of stuff. And I was all on board with it because I've been talking to our Home Builders Association, who doesn't listen to anything. But I saw an article in Successful Farming magazine about the mental health, the safety mental health of people, especially farmers. At the end of the year, usually they spend so much time by themselves. If you're out in a field and you got a rough year, crops aren't coming in, or whatever the case may be, you just get this struggle. So Brian was in a worse place than what I thought, and I still struggle with it as we talk about it right now. But they're just before Thanksgiving, Brian committed suicide, and this is just a little bit more than a month after we had him on the show here. And I'm just hearing his pastor talk, hearing his wife talk, and we're all asking ourselves all the same question. Like, did we not see this? Could we not see this? What happened for this? I don't understand it. And one thing that after I talked to his wife, Jen, and I did understand it a little bit better. I didn't know he was struggling, and I didn't know he was going through depression. But the scariest thing for all of us out here today is that when you are in a depression state, your body is not making decisions. Your mind is not making decisions for itself anymore. This disease is making decisions for you, and it's no different than a lot of bad things that you could get mixed up in, to where you're not in charge. And I was just shocked, to hear about this, to lose my friend, my buddy. And it hits hard right now, especially at Christmas, because how many years, for I don't know, 5 or 6 years, he and I talked about going to Eve together, and him and Jen were going to join our family, and we were going to go to our church for Christmas Eve and enjoy the evening together. But man, I said it, on my Mike O'Rourke episode, and I'll say it again. Keep this old boy in your prayers and your hearts and your thought, and his family, the same thing. And man, just reach out, get some help. Get in touch with yourself to understand your feelings, and try and get a hold of it, because it's something that's nuts, and it could take over. It could take over for you, and I just hope nobody's faced with that. But if you feel like you are, talk to somebody, tell somebody, because people can help you, and people want to help you. We rolled into. Man, that sucks. I just hate thinking about this. But the next episode was my good friend Tanner Conradi of Conradi and Son Construction down in Wilmington, North Carolina. And Tanner's just a great dude. I mean, he's a young guy who's just kicking ass every single day, building houses. And he's a different kind of builder because they're down there it's a vacation destination, beautiful Wilmington, North Carolina. I never even knew it existed. But they build these houses that are multi stories. They're super fancy, super expensive. And plus they also have this whole other businesses, remodels. That people would rather just, remodel these houses than tear them down and rebuild them. And then they have this kind of like, it's a protection thing. So if a hurricane's coming in, they're going around and boarding things up, getting things prepared for the storm, and then they go around and fix things after the storm comes through. So I mean, he's got a heck of a business. He's got a heck of a head on his shoulders, and I just really enjoyed talking to him. And I think I mentioned on there probably around that time, his mom was one of the speakers we had at our meetings, and she's kind of a stress therapist, if you would call it that. And we were outside of the box in that meeting to learn more about what controls us. And you talk about something that gets a hold of you, and that's stress, and it won't let you go. And so that was really cool to have her there. But Tanner, great dude, great job. Thanks again for taking time to be here on the show. Our next guest after that, and obviously we set this up when we were all together in Bar Harbor, Maine, was Don Weiler from Bloomington, Indiana. I almost said Bloomington, North Carolina, because I was just talking about Bloomington, Indiana. And Don, and again, I mean, he's one of the guys that we're on this text message week after week after week. Just a great guy. And I loved hearing about his family. His kids have all taken different directions. And it's so neat to see the array of things that people, that those kids do. And, but just to listen he's got a partner, and to listen about the houses they build, how it is running that business, how it is having a partner. And we kind of, being in Bloomington and being in Southwest Ohio here, we're really close to each other. So it's kind of a Midwest thing. There's a lot of things that are similar as opposed to somebody who's building in Southern Texas, somebody who's building in Upper Michigan. They have different weather conditions, different codes and things. So we kind of build the same. So it was interesting to listen to Don and what he does. So, and again, he was one of the guys. It's like, man, I hope that he can use this podcast as some marketing for his company. So then the next episode, we were a then and now for Wieland Builders. And we talked about things that I really started that episode out thinking that things were different from when my dad did it as opposed to when I do it now. But, I've been doing this so long, I was able to go back and say, here's the things that were different in the 90s when I started full-time. I started in the 80s part-time, but I started full-time in the 90s, and the difference between then and now. Of course, the internet's a big thing. So the internet and cell phones are a big thing that are different from when I started until now. But that's so funny. I always think about when Brian Lapthorne and I were at a Reds game, and I was explaining to him why Tyler Stevenson has a button on his knee, and he's talking in the button to the pitcher. And Brian says, "Oh my gosh," because I feel like I'm sitting in the family room and the grandkids are trying to tell Grandpa that the war's over. So that then and now thing is something that hits home for me. And we talked about a lot of differences of what we used to do and how we did it, and most of it is different machines, different equipment, different things that we have, and they're all better for the most part of what we do now, as opposed to a voice pager compared to my iPhone. Big differences. Encyclopedias compared to the internet. Hey, we finished it off on my birthday here at the first part of December with my good friend Mike O'Rourke, and now I've known Mike probably we've been acquaintance with each other. I've known him all my life almost, and his dad had started this company. The way we reconnected was we are part of a fundraising group called the Spirit of Construction, and they have a big gala every year. And I was on the board there for several years. I don't know, 10 years or something. And it might have been more than that. And so I nominated posthumously his dad to get the award, and of course he got it. And that's a big deal, because that to nominate somebody in the Spirit of Construction, which is a hell of a lot different than the Home Builders Association, I can tell you that, is you've got to submit a book. I mean, it's community involvement. What did you do for charity? What did you do for a living? What did you do for industry involvement? How did you make things better? And how did you survive? So that's how we ended up getting reconnected. But I listening to Mike's story. He went through something similar to like what my dad did. His dad passed away at a young age. He took over the company and just brought it to what it is today. He's a working dude. I mean, he just works and works, and his wife is the same way. These are some of the nicest people you've ever met in your entire life. And I think I said it at the end of that episode. If you're in Cincinnati, it's like 1 in 40 cars has either a Rourke truck or a Rourke Wrecking or Site Works on it if you're driving across 275. But I enjoyed this so much. Just because I really enjoy him, but I enjoyed this episode so much and learning more about him and his story and what they do and some of the biggest, coolest projects that they've worked on. So that was really fun. So that's our year, man. That was 2025, and just some really awesome guests. And I want to remind everybody, people always talk to me about how long these episodes are, and the coolest thing about this is they're always on the podcast service. They're always a start and stop, and you can listen to them. You can listen to them in a long car ride. You can listen to them whenever, but you can always go back and listen to them again. And so I would encourage you to do that. I hope that they have enough substance and interest in them for you to stay engaged with them. I hope that a lot of these guys, you've learned enough about them to where you want to go look them up and do something with them or learn more about them on their web pages and things. So, and I hope that this podcast is a conduit for people to express themselves, for people to learn about them, for them to be able to take the podcast and use it for their marketing. And I know that I get a lot out of this because I really enjoy learning about these people, and I hope they get something out of it, and I hope y'all that are listening get something out of it too. So, I just want to say thanks again, everybody, for another fantastic year. We roll into our 4th year. We'll start off next year with episode number 74, and we better get to work on that, Leanne, because we don't know who our first guest is going to be, but we have somebody in mind, I think. But yeah, it's going to be another great year, and thank you again, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope you guys have had a great year, and you're looking forward to a next year. Don't forget to live your dash. And that'll be my theme. I'll think about that when I think about my friend Brian Lapthorne. Live your dash, and everybody just stay cool. So, and once again, thank you. Thanks everybody for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to the WB Download on your favorite podcast service. If you got any questions, topics, if you want to be a guest on the show and not send me some spam email me at wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com and check us out on our website, wielandbuilders.com, and see the coolest houses in the world that we're getting ready to build or that we are building. So much fun to be able to do this job and to be able to do this business. So thanks again, everybody. Again, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays. And I'm grateful for y'all being here and tuning in month after month. I'm Jeff Wieland here on WB Download.